Hi, and welcome to Daily Dose of DIY. My name's Chris, and today I'm going to show you how to make these fun knockout signs. I will show you how to do the technique to get the letters in there. You'll also learn how to use the popular I Love Glitter font. I will be doing the tutorial on this board. Plus, I'm going to give you a super easy way to line these up so that you get it nice and straight and perfect. But first, let's take a look at the supplies we're going to need to do this craft. Okay, to make this knockout sign, you are going to need a blank sign board. I am using an Innkeeper sign. It's 24 inches long. And by the way, I'm going to link you everything you need in the description down below for what I'm using. We're going to use pattern vinyl for the main wording. I got this at Expressions Vinyl. I'll give you the direct links to this too. This one is called Blossom, what I'll be showing you in this tutorial. And I also got this one called Floral Leopard. That is what is on this sign, and I just think it's gorgeous. I love it. I love both of these. They have some great patterns. You're also going to want vinyl in another color, contrasting color. I think for this, I'm going to try a maroon. This is a Cricut brand vinyl, and for this one, I just used black. And then you're going to need transfer tape and your basic Cricut tools, scraper and weeder. If you're using a larger sign, you might want to grab your 24-inch cut mat to cut the maroon. It's going to be about 15 inches. So I'm going to need a longer cut mat to do that if you have a bigger sign. If you're working with a smaller one, that's fine. You'll also, most sign blanks are wood. I pre-painted this, but you'll want to choose a paint color and get your board painted so it can be drying before you start your design space and doing the vinyl. So next, let's go into Design Space, and I'm going to show you how to get to this design. We'll switch to my screen. I'm going to show you how to make this design so that you can customize it however you want. The first thing we're going to do is come over here to text. It's either, okay, I see it working up there. It's either going slow or not working, but it came up. And then we're just going to click in that text box, and I'm going to change it to Mom. For this, for your background word, whether you choose welcome or mom or a name, you want it to be a nice thick print font. So you don't really want script or it'll get too busy. Impact is one that everybody probably has on their computer. So that is a good choice to use. I'm going to use one, and I will link you these fonts down below also, called Malibu. So I'm just putting that in the search bar, and then I will select that and it will change this to the Malibu font. Now I'm going to make this bigger. With the pattern vinyl, it typically only comes in 12-inch. So the biggest, the pattern is what we're doing the big word in. The biggest we can make this is 11.5 inches wide. That is Cricut's cut limitation for a standard cut mat. So we're just going to size this somewhere down below 11.5. That will work. And then you can come here to this lock, click it, and it will unlock it. You can stretch it out a little longer if you like. I want it to be somewhere between 3.5 and 4 inches. So that looks good, and we're still under 11.5. So this part of it is done. I'm going to slide it on out of the way, and you can do that, like I said, with any name or any word that you want. Then we're going to come back to the text and select that again. Once our box pops up, I'm going to type out I love you to put in the center. And then again, we're going to come back up here to change the font. I will link this to you below also. This font is called I Love Glitter. It's the font everybody loves to use for knockouts because of the cute little hearts. I will also link you, if you don't know how to get your own fonts into Design Space, a tutorial on how to do that so that you can download and use this font in Cricut. This is also a great font. It's a little overused and popular, but it's a great font because it's easy to add the glyphs in. You can do it just with your keyboard. So I'm going to go back into the text, and I have the cursor right here at the beginning. It might be hard to see because the box is there too. And if you hit Shift 8, that gives you a little heart like that. So I'm going to go to this end and add another one. And then you can connect the words together with a heart also. So I'm going to go between I and love. And then if you hit Shift underscore, which the underscore are those little horizontal lines, they're on the same line as your numbers over to the right, it will give you an outlined heart. Or if you hit Shift /, it gives you a full heart. I'm going to use the full colored in heart. So my / key is just below the delete key. It is also with the vertical up and down line or /. So you hit Shift and the /, and then I'm going to just cursor on down and put another one in between love and you. Now this is getting a little long, so I'm going to reduce my screen size down here a little bit so we can see what we're doing. And you'll notice it doesn't put it in perfectly. There's a little space in between the hearts and the second word, and we don't want that space there, so I'm going to come to the top here and click Ungroup. And what that does is it now makes each letter so we can move it individually. But instead of wasting our time, excuse me, moving each letter individually, we can just come down here and select this whole section. So we got the I and the two little hearts. And I'm going to move my right cursor key over until that heart is touching the L. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Select the last heart in the U, and then move that cursor to the left until it is touching. Once everything is touching together and how you like it, select all of it. I need to get that heart down here at the end. There we go. Select all of it and the heart at the other end. Might need to reduce my screen size a little bit more. Oh, it got it all. Select them all and then click the weld button down here on the bottom so it puts it together. Now we'll see how this works. It's working very slow is what it's doing. Sometimes it fills in the letters. So if it does that, we will fix it. Yes, you can see that little E filled in. There are two ways to fix it if that happens. The first thing you want to do is immediately come up here and click the undo button to undo that weld. So you can see the weld is undone, our E is now here. You can either, I'm going to reduce my screen size even more. You can either select everything, make it bigger, and try again, see if that works. And it looks like that did work. So if you make it bigger and you hit weld, most of the time it does work. If it doesn't work, you'll want to move this V over to the left a little bit. Just like we moved the I and the heart, you want to select your V, just move him to the left 1 or 2 spaces and then try again. And it should work that way also. Okay, so now I've got this giant thing. I need to, there, if it will let me slide over. Make him smaller again. We can now downsize to the size we want it to be. And then I'm going to bring this back up to 100%. Maybe I should have downsized it a little more before I did that. So we can see what we're doing here. Okay, I'm just going to bring them both down to the middle of the screen a little more. Come on, guys. And so this is easier to see. I'm going to come up here to this little colored square and change that front layer just to purple. So now we can see what it looks like over there. And I can see I would like it to be a little bit bigger. Once you think you have it the size you want, select both of them, both the mom and the I Love Glitter. Come up here to the top where it says align and then come down to where it says center, and that will give you an idea of how far it sticks out. I think I want it even just a little bit bigger. So after you make adjustments, you can just go right back up and align it again. And I also, now that we are centered, I like it to be a little bit lower. So I'm going to use my down arrow and just move it down a little bit. Once you're happy with the placement of the letters, now we need to make the knockout part. And Cricut has made this a little bit easier now that they have added the offset up here. I was super excited when it first came out, and then it did not work in my design space for months and months and months, but it's working again. So hopefully yours is too. We're just going to click that offset, and then I already have it set. It looks like it saved my settings from the last one I made. I want it to be 0.1 because I like my knockouts to be tight. It is still thinking about there it's coming out. You can see the little blue outline of where it would be. So if you want a bigger space, by all means, you just drag this over. Since it's going so slow, I'm not going to do it because I think it might take too long. Slide this over and give yourself however much margin you want, but like I said, I like to keep it tight, so I'm going to leave it at 0.1 and then click apply. You see it turned black back there, and that has given us a whole nother layer. So we can now take the purple layer off, the I Love Glitter, and move it down out of our way. We don't want to delete it. We're going to still use him. But we are going to select both the mom and that offset that Cricut gave us together. And then we're going to come down here at the bottom of the menu and click Slice. That will cut the I Love You out of the mom. So you see we lift that up. Now that's cut out of there. Actually, I'm going to move them down so it's easier. We don't need any of these parts, so you can just select it and close it. Move this back up here, and now this will fit in here nicely. So this is an idea of what it will look like when it is cut and on your board. Once you have all of that done, I think we need to still attach our mom. Well, no, I guess we don't. It's not lit up. Sometimes you need to attach them or Cricut just jumbles all the words together on the cut mat. So now we are ready to hit the Make It button, and it will come and show you the mat. So it'll probably give us a warning because my I Love You is longer than the standard cut mat size, but I have a 24-inch mat, so that will work. Yes, you can see it's putting the I Love You on a longer cut mat. We don't need to mirror this or anything, so on the screen you really don't need to do anything. Just click the continue button. If you have a Cricut Explorer, turn your dial to vinyl. If you have a Cricut Maker, you can, it takes a hot minute to connect to my Maker. Click Browse All Materials and choose matte vinyl or regular vinyl from your list of materials. We're going to switch on over here. It's going to cut the mom layer first. Oh, here it's coming. I also here's where you click Browse All Materials. I should have mine favorited on here somewhere. Vinyl. Just plain straight old vinyl. That's what we want to cut with. And then we're going to come over to our mat and load the paper on. To move some stuff out of my way, get my Maker open. Remove the protective film and set it aside, and then we are going to load. It was showing it's going to cut the mom across the top, so you make sure if you're using a pattern, you just have the pattern going the right way that you want it. Line it up across the top and smooth it down. Then we will load it in here and get it cut. While Cricut's cutting, I will pause the video and then I will come back and I'll show you the weeding and how to get it centered on your board and an easy way to line it up so that everything is nice and straight and even. Okay, the mom part has finished cutting, so I'm just going to flip my mat over and gently peel it off the vinyl. That keeps it from tearing the paper backing and curling it more than it already was curled up for shipping. And then I'm going to add, we're going to get ready to cut, make sure I have the 14 inches at least. It'd be easier if I put this upside down. Then we're going to cut this layer and we will be ready to put our sign together. Okay, both of them cut beautifully and I just cut them down so that we can save this vinyl for another project. We don't need to weed it all. So it's kind of hard to see where the lines are on the pattern, but do your best and cut it off so you can use your other vinyl for another project. You can make several of these boards with it. And then, I say it cut beautifully, and then I had a little issue. We're just pull it up to weed on one corner, and then I'm going to slowly peel it off to make sure all the parts still stay where they're supposed to. I have that section that wanted to come off. My maker does not cut as well as my Explorer though, so I'm more apt to get, hopefully yours isn't the same, but I'm more apt to get it parts to peel up. I don't want to peel up when it's cut with my maker. So weeding that is super easy. And then we're going to do the same thing on here, just poke the corner and pull it up. Even this vinyl, it didn't want to cut through. Stay down, heart. It's going good now. I was just thinking, I'm like, I might recut this with more pressure. But it's coming. Weeding vinyl should not be this difficult. Like I said, my maker, for some reason, just does not cut with enough pressure. There, the end went well. So once you get the bulk of it off, then you want to go back and just pull out your centers. Once I get that done, I will show you how to line this up into there before we put it on the board, and it's much easier to do it that way, and it will make sure we get it perfect. Okay, for this part you're going to want some wax paper or parchment paper. Wax paper is usually a little bit easier, but I have parchment paper, so that's what we're going to use, and some tape. I'm going to start with taping down the mom, or the pattern vinyl part of the word. And then I'm going to add transfer tape to this section, and I'm going to add it big enough to cover the mom. So let me get this cut real quick. Okay, I have my transfer tape cut. It's long enough to cover this, and it's wider than the mom. I don't cut very straight, but okay, it'll work. And I use, you can see it says duck on here, I just use the clear shelf liner. You can get at Walmart or other stores most of the time. It's what I use. It's cheaper. The downside is you have to deal with the curling, but that's usually not a problem. So we're going to get the backing off. And then I'm just going to fold down one end of the paper like this, so it's folded down. And I'm going to stick it down to the table here. And as I pull off the back, I'm going to take this hand and push it forward. That will make it go on without any wrinkles, nice and straight. And then you can take your scraper tool, make sure it gets down there good. Now what we're going to do is pull this up. Give the back a scrape also. and remove the paper backing from that. If it sticks in some areas and doesn't want to come off, just push it back down. Stick it on this end. So now we have the paper off and that's all nice and sticky. We're going to take our parchment paper, since it's see-through, and cover this up a little bit. I want the top to be close because we're going to use the sticky part of this to help hold it down. And my parchment paper has a crinkle in it. So then we just make sure your sticky goes over your parchment paper. So my parchment paper's here and my transfer tape goes over there. We're just going to lay this down on the parchment paper. Since mine has a little wrinkle, it might be a little bit more difficult, but it shouldn't be too bad. So now you can tell that you can see through it somewhat, like you can see that mom, and you can see to line up your letters. I'm kind of having a hard time to see with the lights and this angle. There we go. So you get it nice and centered. Make sure it's good all the way down. Once you're happy with the placement, take that part we did an overhang on and push it down so now it's stuck to your table. And the mom underneath, remember we taped down so it is stuck there. Then we want to flip this whole section up and remove our parchment paper. Like I said, wax paper is a little bit easier to work with because it doesn't stick so much, but parchment paper will work too. And while you're doing this, make sure you do not remove where it's been stuck down to your table because that will mess us up. Okay, we're off. So now I'm just going to hold this up slightly because if I pull hard, it will come off my table and I don't want it to do that. And then take my scraper tool and lay it down. We have our heart sticking out over the edge because this is bigger, but that is okay. You want to make sure we're getting this transfer tape stuck now to the mom. We can go ahead and untape it from the table. And scrape the back. Now we are ready to add it to our board. So I'm going to get that over here. To get it center, you might want to measure your board. Oh yeah, I have a measurer here. So, wrong end of the measure. We are at, you might have to do a little bit of math, but that's okay. It's like 22¼ inches, so half of 22 is 11. And 1 dash. And I'm just going to take my Cricut pen and mark where the center of that board is. Might be hard to see. It's definitely impossible to see on camera because it's a black pen on black paint, but I can see my little mark here. And then if you want to know where the center of this is, it's pretty much the center of the O, but you could make a little fold at that center so you have it there, and you can see by the fold line also. There are a couple of ways you can do this. You can lay it down first, or you can remove the backing. I think I'm going to go the remove the backing first route. It's kind of risky because of all the stickiness here on the back, but it is the easiest for me to do. Make sure all your parts of vinyl have stuck to your transfer tape when you're removing the backing. This L doesn't want to stay, or that's the I. There. Okay, we are completely off. And now I can better see my mark with my little fold in there. And then since the top and bottom's so close, I just kind of eyeball it, because you're not doing such a big distance. It's easier to eyeball. Once you're happy with where it is, start in the middle and press it down, and then take your scraper tool and go do one side at a time. So go left and then go right. And just give everything a good scrape so that vinyl sticks down. Once that is done, we can slowly peel off the transfer tape. He needs a little extra scraping on that side. There he's staying. If you keep the transfer tape straight flat against the board, it's less likely, if you're like yanking your transfer tape up like this, you're more likely to pull some vinyl up with you. But if you keep it down against the flat against your board and just pull slowly, everything should stay. This is why we go slowly, because that one didn't want to stay. Just push it back down and then you can keep going. Okay, it is off. And that is our beautiful I love you, knock out with a mom sign. Thing you want to do though before you add any embellishments or put them on is seal. Well, you don't have to, but you might want to protect your wood and seal it. This is just matte Mod Podge. I'm going to squirt some on here. You can use a polyacrylic spray or something. I have to let you know, most vinyl manufacturers do not recommend you seal, especially their permanent vinyl, with anything, because over time it can fade the colors or make it warp or do funny things. I tend to always seal my wood signs though, and I've never had a problem with it doing that. Now, after 10 to 20 years, who knows, there might be an issue. But I am just putting Mod Podge all along the centers, all along the center and every edge, to protect my paint, and it will also give it a nice finish. Make sure you get it nice and smooth. You don't want to leave any clumps or they might dry white or a little hazy color. So the front is nice and smooth. I got this corner to do, and then once this dries, I'm going to glue down my felt flowers and we'll be finished. Okay, it's mostly dry and it's done. We'll give you an up-close view here. I hope you love this tutorial and you learned something new. I can't wait to see the signs you make using this technique. Here's another version of the one I did. Be sure to like and subscribe for more fun Cricut crafts and tutorials.